Okay. While I'm kind of hanging out with my pups, let me just jump in here real quick and have a conversation because I know what I am going to say, the truth that I'm communicating is just going to strike a nerve with some people. And I understand that. Let me start off by saying that when people think I say clinical culture dropout, they think it was like this one big moment. Like I woke up one day and decided to choose violence or be ignorant or any of that. No, it was just a slow build of watching good helpers train to disappear. And I realized I was watching all of this as if it was normal. In clinical culture, professionalism or being professional can slowly start to mean like you don't feel, you don't need, you don't rest. It's like this vibe where burnout is normalized and numbness is praised very much. It has like these unspoken rules that you don't take breaks unless you've earned it. It also says like you don't talk about the work that you're doing and how that is impacting you. You don't ask too many questions. You keep your life off of your face, like you don't show emotion or have any type of feelings. And, if you're struggling, you're supposed to keep that private and not ask for help and not ask for support. And, you know, this stuff doesn't just show up in the therapy room. It shows up if you're a nurse, if you're a teacher, if you're a first responder, social workers, other medical professionals, legal professionals, any field where you carry other people's shit. This is stuff shows up. And over time, clinical culture starts to reward helpers who are functioning like machines, like that's okay. So my particular moment wasn't one big moment. It was just this thing that I noticed over time. And there was a season in particular that sharpened this for me. Two, actually. There were two jobs in particular that, in many ways, shaped how I think about things. They were both non-traditional clinical spaces where we were trying to integrate more mental health support. On paper, it sounded great. It was like, we're expanding our services because we care about people. Okay, cool. Like, let's do that. Let's give people the help that they need. But here's the problem with both of those places. The people that were supervising me in particular were not in mental health. They weren't licensed clinicians. They had some textbook knowledge. They had some training, but they did not have any real world clinical experience. And if you've been in this field any length of time, you already know that the textbook mental health is not the same as real life mental health. It's not the same fucking thing. It's not. So here I am in these spaces bringing 15, 20 years at the time of actual hands-on lived experience. And I was constantly being told that you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not how it works. Like whatever lived experience that I had, it didn't matter. Like they were like, fuck that. It doesn't matter because they in some ways needed the authority. And if they had the authority over me, then it was good for them and not for me. And that is how clinical culture keeps people in this obedient space, confused, second guessing, instead of being confident and supported. And it makes you feel like or wonder if you're crazy for just trusting what you know, because your lived experience is what helps you make the person that you are. No one else can do that. So when I started to see the bigger pattern, it wasn't just me, it was other helpers too, but there was these environments that were pushing people past their capacity, that they still expected them to perform and like be on and act as if nothing happened. Like, just keep smiling, just keep producing, just keep being professional. That's what they wanted. It wasn't the real mental health space or work that we offer or do. And it really wasn't the pressure. It was really the shame behind all of that. And like, I have a human response to life, but the system is like, no, if you're struggling, you're unfit. Or if you need support, you're weak. Or if I slow down, then I'm failing. It wasn't that I was actually having a human response. It was everything else. And I also remember thinking, if you just hold on, because these are good people, they're skilled people, they're caring people, people who pour their lives into others and help. Yeah. And so while they're treating themselves that way or treating other people, maybe they were treating me a certain way because of the culture, maybe because they needed to make themselves feel good. I don't know. But it was ultimately the impact that happens on our nervous system when we aren't treated in a space that honors our clinical skills and train us to shrink, train us to be smaller, train us to do everything else, but actually help the people that need to be helped. Like, so I'm going to call bullshit on professionalism, because this is not how we truly help people in the mental health space. And I know it wasn't just once. This is something that I saw time and time again with myself, with other professionals, and they're terrified to ask the questions they need. They felt like supervision was cold or shaming. People burnt out because they were being treated like, this is the thing to do. Ethics was being weaponized instead of being taught. And the same pattern kept happening over and over again. It was just in a different building every time. And that's when, excuse me, I realized that I am not anti-structure. I am not anti-ethics. I am not anti-standards. I am anti-turning humans into machines and calling it clinical excellence. That's what I'm against. Because when helpers are trained to disappear, you don't become better clinicians. You become clinicians who brace for everything. You get clinicians who are afraid to make mistakes, clinicians who hide, clinicians who avoid, clinicians who just perform just for the sake of performing. And that is not any safer. That is just acquired way of dealing with what this clinical culture has taught us. So over time, I became the clinical culture dropout. I didn't have a name for it at first, but this is what I decided to drop over time. It was the performative, like, perfection that is expected of us. It's dropping the supervision where it's just compliance and signatures versus learning to incorporate life and humanness. It was the belief that burnout is the price of being a good person, a good therapist, a good helper. But I did keep the ethics, the structure, and especially the humanity, because none of those things are really the enemy. So what does it actually mean if you are a Texas LPC associate and you're looking at supervision with me? It really just means that we do the real work all the time. Yes, we talk about documentation, ethics, risk, case decision, clinical reasoning, current events, and how that impacts the mental health space. We talk about all those things. We talk about what the work is actually doing to your nervous system, because you can't think clearly when you're in this bracing mode or white knuckling or feeling like you're ashamed or second guessing yourself or pretending like nothing is wrong. You can't be human without worrying that your actual humanity is a liability. It's really hard to be a good clinician when you're doing all those things. So I like to teach you how to build your career and things that you love that fits your capacity, not just your ambition and where you want to go. Because I want you to be licensed, yes, of course, but I also want you to live and be human. Like, because you can't avoid that. There's just no way of being able to avoid that. So this wasn't just one moment. It was literally the slow decision to stop normalizing self-abandonment And that's why I call it the clinical culture dropout. Yes, I'm still licensed. And yes, I'm still human. And you just need to understand that if that is something that you want, then you have to seek out the people that are actually doing that. Because otherwise, you're going to end up in supervision where it's just signature signing and box checking. So I am accepting new LPC associates. I want you to go to my website and make sure you sign up for a free consult so that we can just check and make sure that we are a good fit. All right. I'm out. Until next time.